What does Bill Belichick have to do with boxer Terence Crawford? Let me explain. Hey guys, welcome to 200 Proof Boxing. Please like and subscribe for more daily boxing content. Legendary football coach Bill Belichick and legendary boxer Terence Crawford come from completely different worlds, but have one thing in common, and it's the reason for their success. They both have the same superpower. Bill Belichick coached in the league for over 30 years, won 8 Super Bowls as a coach and defensive coordinator, and nobody was ever able to solve his defensive system. Why? Because he didn't have a defensive system, and that was the system.
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
And the same goes for Terence Crawford. You see, every other coach and every boxer, every athlete, everyone has tendencies. There's John McVay's system of offense. There's an Andy Reid system. They have these similar things that they do every game, and they make changes based on who they're playing and their personnel, but it all works within the system. Bill Belichick did not have a system. Every single game, every single week, he came in with a completely different defense. He would change personnel, he would change the way they stand, he would change all their reads, he would change the entire defense every single week, and it would be perfectly schemed for their opponents and their tendencies. There is no Bill Belichick style defense, and that's why it was impossible to game plan for them. The same thing goes for Terence Crawford. Every boxer has a style. Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard were dancers. They stuck and moved, they boxed from the outside. Mike Tyson had the peekaboo style. He ducked and he weaved until he got inside to land his punches. Even guys today, Gervonta Davis, low output punches, waits for the counter punch. Devin Haney, he's a defensive fighter, mostly throws jabs and straights. Isaac Cruz, he's an offensive fighter. He comes forward, he mostly throws hooks and uppercuts. Everyone has their tendency, everyone has their styles, except for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford comes into every fight completely differently, and it's always exactly what he needs to do in that fight. I've seen fights where he's defensive and he's sticking and moving from the outside. I've seen fights where he's offensive and he's coming in, closing the distance. I've seen fights where he's trying to stay in the middle of the ring. I've seen fights where he's trying to fight off the ropes. I've seen fights where he fights the whole fight southpaw. I've seen fights where he fights the whole fight orthodox. I've seen fights where he switches between rounds, between southpaw and orthodox. I've seen fights where he switches between combinations between southpaw and orthodox. I've seen fights where he fights the whole fight southpaw, and then suddenly he gets the guy hurt and he switches to orthodox to finish him off. I've seen fights where he's defensive. I've seen fights where he's offensive. I've seen fights where he counter punches. I've seen fights where he comes forward. I've seen fights where he sticks moves from the outside. I've seen every type of Terence Crawford fight, and he can do it all at an extremely high level. And that's what makes him an unsolvable puzzle. Yes, he's fast, yes, he's strong, but the only consistency from fight to fight is he usually takes the first round slow, probably because he's processing the information to know which style of Terence Crawford he needs to be to beat that guy tonight. If I had to guess, he probably comes into every fight having trained a few different styles that he thinks will work against this type of fighter, and then uses that first round to see what type of style he's going to need to do to match what they're doing, counter what his opponent is doing. Terence Crawford is a supercomputer for boxing. In one round, he can figure out exactly what type of fighter you are, exactly how you're fighting on that night to try and counter what he does, and he can beat any type of fighter, and he's pretty much equally effective as all of it. Because he's fast, he's strong, he's smart, he has good instincts, he has great footwork, he's good at everything. And that's why no one can beat him. Just like no one was able to beat Bill Belichick in his prime. You'd think after 20 years, someone would have solved the Bill Belichick defense, but they had top 5 defenses consistently for decades. People solved Seattle's defense. People solved the 49ers defense. No one has ever solved Bill Belichick's defense. Just like no one has really solved how Terence Crawford boxes, because it's completely different in every fight. That's why he has a chance against Canelo Alvarez. There's no actual way to prepare for someone who fights completely differently every fight. He shows up, he figures out how he has to win that night, and he's elite at it. He's elite at everything. I've never seen anything like it. Bill Belichick and Terence Crawford do the exact same thing. They sit down, they watch film, they see every single one of their opponent's tendencies, and they are not afraid to change everything about how they box to match that, and they know they can do it well. Sometimes the secret to success is being elite at one thing. Deontay Wilder's power, Muhammad Ali's speed, Sean McVay's offense. But sustained success, that requires versatility, That requires changing who you are to be what you need to be in that moment, and that is how you have success over decades, like these two legends. Do you think this is the main reason why these two guys are so successful? Do you think Terence Crawford has a chance against Canelo Alvarez? Let me know in the comments. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Can't wait to hear.